everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our preview show, and we're looking ahead to the first round of the club championship. We're delighted to welcome on board Capture Athletics for our official podcast sponsor for the upcoming championships. They'll be with us for the next 10 weeks, covering every weekend of action. Mostly delighted today to be joined by Clann stalwart and Mark Beattie, who's going to help me dissect all the games coming up this weekend as we look ahead to the senior championship. Mark, just talking to you a bit off there, best time of the year, the club championship. I know it's just everybody's looking forward to getting started now at the weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the time of year that everybody, yeah, especially in all around the clubs, we all look forward to it, and it's you just don't know where teams are at with county players and stuff coming back in, and it's going to be a real interesting championship, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I think an element of it is obviously the group stage is back this year. That was there in 18 and 19, but the home advantage is just going to be crucial this week. And every game that we'll go through, we're probably going to say that home advantage could be key to it. So it's a big element, especially these first round games, isn't it?
It is, and funny, I was talking to in our own group, one of the teams that we have got is Granemore, and I was talking to a few Granemore fellas, and they sort of saying we weren't playing well. But every time anybody goes to somewhere like Granemore, it is so hard to come out of there. Well, you've seen what happened in the championship final; they were maybe well beaten and stuff like that. But whenever you have to go to Granemore, it's a different match altogether. And there's a lot of clubs all in around the county that just know taking teams that would maybe expect to beat that team on their day, but whenever you have to go into someone's lands, then as I say, it's a different match altogether.
It probably is an equaliser, and as we go through them, there are obvious underdogs for a few of the games, but it looks like most of them have home advantage this weekend, so it is going to be an equaliser for the first round anyway.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I suppose the format of our podcast, folks, we're just going to go through it, go through the senior championship game by game. Obviously, we'd love to cover everything, but with there being 22 games on, that's just not possible. So we'll cover the senior championship this week, and we're just going to take every game as they come in chronological order. So first up, it's Silverbridge and Madden kickstart the senior championship on Friday night. Silverbridge have home advantage here on the throw-in time of 7 p.m. This game's going to be live on Armagh TV as well. So, Mark, obviously Silverbridge, they're going to have home advantage. They're coming in as Division 1A league champions. They're in good form. They have good momentum. So Madden, this could be a tricky one for Madden, couldn't it?
I think it will. And I think also with Madden, after the league defeat there, the Clann in the last game of the season, it's how they're going to react from that game. If I be totally honest, I was very disappointed in Madden on the night. I'd seen them in the previous match, the first match they played Clann in Clann, very impressed by them. But on the night against in the league decider, wasn't impressed. Now I was expecting a whole lot more for them. While on the other hand, you have Silverbridge coming off the back of promotion, winning the league, and also their reserves winning the championship on Sunday night. So they're a club that's going places, and will be expecting to go to Madden, or sorry, with Madden coming to them, they'll be expecting definitely a win there to get them off to a good start, But as I say, hopefully Madden get their act together. I'm not sure right now. Brimley will be fit to play on Friday night, but he'll be a massive boost to them. That also that night, I think that one or two other players that were out. One was suspended, and one was kind of sort of an injury. So if they get them fellas back, Madden is Madden. They're always hard to beat, but they've something to prove. I think Madden, especially in championship, I think they've definitely got something to prove. Over the last couple of years, they've been knocking on the door, sort of top end of the league, but just haven't get over the line in big championship games. So this will be one that they'll be looking to go out and definitely start with a win. But I think Silverbridge will be full of confidence going into it,
Just on that reserve league or reserve championship title, that Silverbridge picked up last week, it just all feeds into the feel-good factor around Silverbridge, doesn't it? Having won the league, I think they're in the reserve league semi-final. They obviously won the reserve championship, so there just seems to be great momentum around Silverbridge. Obviously,
great momentum. Plus, they've also now got the new president of the GAA also involved.
That's right.
So it's definitely there's a real buzz in Silverbridge. So this will be this is one that, and I think after last year too, it was at the game, Silverbridge and Cross. For 40 minutes that game, Silverbridge definitely, they were there, they had a chance to go and maybe put in a big win against Cross, but they just, again, they never got over the line. And I think that's bound to hurt. And you'd like to think they'll be coming back this year. Naturally, they'll be taking one game at a time, but if they can get out of, once they get through the group stages, they'll be looking to take a big scalp, I think, this year,
And who we'll have our predictions on this show for the championship, Mark. So if you had to make a prediction, who are you going for?
I think on this one, and as you say, we're going to be saying this quite a lot. I think with home advantage, I think I'll have to tip Silverbridge.
Yeah, it's such a difficult one to call. I think if now Grimley is available, which I don't think he's going to be, I think it could sway in Madden's favour. But I'm gonna cop out and go a draw for that one.
Right,
On
nice,
Friday night. Then we'll have Saturday with 3 games on Saturday. It's Sarsfields and Mullaghbawn. Again, Sarsfields home advantage. And when it comes to home advantage, this is Saturday at 4 o'clock, by the way. When it comes to home advantage, you were talking about Granemore earlier. Sarsfields are something similar, Mark, aren't they? Like there's nothing easy when you get down to Sarsfields.
When you go to Trosna, everyone knows they just know that pitch inside out, and they're always no matter people from good cross teams, Clans teams, or ourselves down through the years. You might always think, Sarsfields, but you maybe beat them at home and maybe have a few points to spare. But it fairly changes whenever you go to Trosna. They just seem to get you in there, and you're just going into the trenches, really. Unfortunately, Sarsfields, they've just had a few of their key players that were coming through, haven't been able to sort of, with different there've been some fellas away of soccer and different things like that there. So they've been missing a few players this year, and it's just been a topsy-turvy season for them. One week they're putting in a good performance, beating the team that they weren't expected to win, and then the following week going out, I think definitely 2 points, and then they just haven't got over the line. So you just don't know where Sarsfields are at, really, at the moment. So but this is a good game to get them started, I think. Home to Mullaghbawn, who also didn't, have a great year, and obviously they were relegated and stuff like that. But in a lot of matches, Mullaghbawn put it up to a lot of teams, only a few points here and there. But I just feel Mullaghbawn having to travel Saturday afternoon to Trosna, they'll be a very good result if they were to come out of it with 2 points,
Yeah, it's a difficult place to go. And I suppose Mullaghbawn without Owen McDonald, who I think's out for the season through injury, and He's suspended from last year. You need your full team when you're going to Sarsfields in the first round of the championship. It's such a key game, the first game. So just being without basically your midfield pairing, it's a difficult start for Mullaghbawn.
Yeah, well, against us last year, Loy was fantastic. So he had an absolute stormer of a game. So he'll be a massive miss. I think also he's maybe Dyson with a worm point or someone. He's got involved with as well. So
I think he got a goal last week for them.
Yeah, he'll be a massive loss to Mullaghbawn now. Because whenever you're a team sort of bordering around that area, you need all your big guns involved, and for Mullaghbawn to lose 2 players of that caliber, it's going to be a hard ask for them.
So who do you see winning this one, Mark?
I think they have to go with my North Armagh rivals, Sarsfields.
Yeah, I'll go with Sarsfields there as well. To win that one. Then also Saturday evening, that it's at 5:30. This is Shane O'Neill's against the Harps, also in Group C alongside Silverbridge and Madden. So this is a difficult one as well. I think, Mark, again, the home advantage element, but Shane O'Neill's, they were the one intermediate last year. Obviously, they've been relegated again due to the league this year, but they've the 3 county men back: Greg McCabe, Conor Mack and Kieran Mackin. So I'm not sure Harps would have any real recent history with them. They maybe don't know a whole pile about them. So this could turn out to be an interesting one.
Yeah, this could be a banana skin for the Harps, especially the season Shane O'Neill's had, coming up into senior football. I'm sure they were hoped and expected to do a whole lot better. But for again, a club like Shane O'Neill's to be losing 3 fellas of that caliber, it's very hard for a club like that there to get enough points to stay up, and unfortunately they didn't. But you bring 3 players like that back into training, back into in the match situation, it's going to change everything. And saying that, the Harps will be a very hard team for anyone to get over this year. I've seen them twice, and they're very, very defensive. You know, still a lot of strong players there from the team that won the championship a lot of years ago. That a good minor team came through. They maybe haven't kicked on from winning the championship a lot of years ago. Maybe expected to do a wee bit more, but this year the first game I seen them wasn't overly impressed, but the second game they seem to have the structure in place a whole lot better now. I know that they lost fairly heavily, not cross beat them in the last game or so, and but I think the Harps might be just could be a sort of outside sort of chance in the championship this year. I think they definitely seem to be well organised, and as I said, they're going to be very hard to beat because they're set up very defensively. And that's maybe the perfect way to go into a game like Shane O'Neill's, a team that they don't know a whole lot about, and as I say, it's a potential banana skin for them. But in saying that, I would expect the Harps to get over the line here.
And I think just on that, Mark, the way you're talking about them setting up defensively, I think there's been games this year where Tom O'Kane and Minnie McShane have been wing half backs for them. Yeah. They'd have been their star forwards in years gone by, but that maybe just shows you that they're maybe getting men back and they're breaking at pace then with McShane and O'Kane. They're the line breakers coming out on the counter.
McShane, I think, went off injured against us in the first game, but last year, we were watching the Harps. He was fantastic. So he was, as you said, getting men behind the ball, and then when they break the line, he's the man that won't on the ball because he moves at serious pace. But that's the way they've sort of set up this year. Now, it was one of the games was a hard watch. Now it was a very hard watch. But listen, if they feel that that's what they're going to need to do to get them to win championships or be competing at the right end of it, then that's what they have to do, I suppose.
I don't know, we said this could be a potential banana skin, but assume we're both going to say that the Harps going to come out on top here.
I'm going to go for the Harps, yeah.
I think the Harps myself. Then the last one on Saturday, it's Clann against Cross. It's the big one on Saturday. There's such a history around this fixture. Obviously, not much recent history. They met in 2021 in the first round of the championship, but you go back to the 60s, 70s and 80s, these were the two dominant sides. Clann's taking Cross into David Park. They'll welcome that, Mark.
They'll love it. There's no doubt about it. And you're saying there the recent matches that they played. The Clans, I'm talking to a right few of them, and they believed they were going to win that game, and they weren't far off winning it. And they'll feel that with Soup coming back in and McPartland coming back in, they're going to be strengthened. I know that a few niggly injuries there at the start of the year. A lot of them fellas are back now, flying fit. So they will absolutely love the Cross coming to David Park on Saturday night. But at the same time, the Cross will love going there and getting a win. They love that as much as the Clans taking them there, because of the rivalry between the two of them. It's still hard to look past the Cross. The Cross will want to get a bit of momentum going. I think the sort of up and down league as well. Some defeats that they wouldn't normally you just expect the Cross to win, even tight games that they didn't come out the right end of. But this is a perfect game for both teams, I suppose. Because a lot of people won't be expecting the Clans to get over the line, but at the same time, you can bet your life all the people in Francis Street will believe they're going to get over the line. But for the Cross as well, there's probably no better team for them to go and get a win against than Clann.
And you mentioned Shane McPartland. He was probably one of the best players. I think Clans only played 2 championship games last year, but he's probably one of the best players of the club championship last year. And his form, that obviously got him onto the county scene. He's coming back into the club scene now, Mark, and he's bound to be filled with confidence for having such a good year with Armagh, and that can only be a good thing for Clans.
It can only be a good thing, yeah. And also with Soup there, he brings an awful lot to the table too. But yeah, McPartland, to me, maybe what he's probably going to give now is a whole lot more consistency to the club scene. You know what I mean? Whenever he comes in, he was a guy who, when I've seen him a right few times, 1 week you were expecting him to do things never happened. But then the next time you seen him, he was a star man. So this time when he comes back, he's 3 games here, and you'd expect him to really push the Clans on. But as you say, he'll be full of confidence from the seasons he had, because he was fantastic for the Clans that are for Armagh this year in the championship.
And then just before we leave this one, Mark, obviously Arsene O'Neill's coming back. He's played the last couple of league games there for Cross. I think I speak for everybody in Armagh that it's great to see him back.
Great to see him back. I think it's been nearly 2 years now, isn't it, since he's been out playing. Be a massive boost to the Cross, massive boost to Armagh. Yeah, but now he's only had, I think he only has about 3 games over him at the moment. But the more games he gets, the more training he gets. He's only going to improve. So yeah, it'd be a massive boost to Cross this year now. There's no doubt about that.
And Cross are obviously the favourites heading into this, Mark. Do you see an upset? Are you going with Cross?
I think I'll have to stick with the Cross. I just think they'll have just too much. I think too, they'll just want. To me, it's the perfect game for them. I think it's the perfect game for them to go into, because if it was maybe a lesser team or whatever, but Cross being Cross, they get over the line anyway. But I just think this will tighten them a wee bit more. That they'll really want to be up for this, and they'll definitely come away with a win.
Yeah, I'm expecting
not by much. Not by much. I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think Cross will get over the line. Yeah.
No, I'll echo you in that. I think it's going to be tight. I'm expecting a really good game, but again, Cross just to come over the line. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. That's a game I'm looking forward to going to.
And it's live on Armagh TV. It's part of a double header. Sarsfields and Mullaghbawn at 4 o'clock, and then Clans across at 7 on Saturday. And then into Sunday, Mark, it's Dromintee and Killeavy. There's 4 senior championship games, and 3 of them are live on Armagh TV, starting with Dromintee and Killeavy. Dromintee enjoyed a really good league campaign, got back into Division 1A at the first time of asking. We're in basically the league final against Silverbridge, but just come up short. Killeavy, obviously with Tommy Coleman at the helm now, they had a good league campaign. Again, just missed out by 2 points in the end, with Clann winning it. So 2 teams probably in good form here. There's a derby element to this one as well.
Yeah. Dromintee with promotion, again the confidence be up. I'm sure they just left it behind them against Silverbridge and not winning the league. Killeavy, on the other hand, I don't think they'll be that annoyed about not winning the league. I'm sure they would have liked it, but at the same time, I think Killeavy over the last number of years, everyone's expected them to get over the line and really push for the championship. And that's what they're gunning for. And I'm sure Tommy and James, that's the reason why they're there. They're there to win Killeavy a championship. So everything would have been geared towards it. Same way in 2021. The lads had them geared to really do the job in the championship, and they've done that. So I think this is where Killeavy will this is where Tommy and all have geared everything towards this here. And saying that, Dromintee, with a bit of confidence and all from the league, they don't expect to be in 1B. They've great underage coming through, and this is completely a group of death. This is such a difficult group, that anyone could come out of this group. I know there's 3 coming out of it, but anyone could end up being at the bottom of it, and there could be a big shock in this group. So it's one that this is a game that really, again, home advantage to Dromintee and all. It's going to be a difficult one for Killeavy. I think it's a hard game to start off with. It's a game that if you weren't to win, where does it put you? You're then going to play a Maghery or Ballymacnab. It's one that both teams will really be gearing to need to come away with 2 points to get off to a good start.
I think that's the important thing in this. We're calling it the group of death, that group A. That you need to get up and running the first week, because if you don't, if you beat the first game, it's an uphill battle in the next 2 rounds.
You're chasing your tail after that there, and like there's no team here. Like at the end of the day, Maghery was the team that finished in the bottom half of 1B that's came into this group. Who wants to be going to Maghery? You talk about the Sarsfields and Granemore. There's no worse place that any team wants to be going to be looking 2 points as Maghery. Especially with their county players back. But this is definitely a difficult one. I might have to sit in the fence in this one, Sean.
I suppose just before we move on to our predictions, tell us a wee bit about Tommy Coleman, Mark, and what you think he's bringing to Killeavy, because obviously, as you'd mentioned, he won a championship with Clann in 2021, a good friend of the podcast as well, of course. So
Yeah.
what's he bringing? He, as you said, he's going there with the hope of winning the championship with Killeavy.
One word, charisma. I would have had Tommy managing me when I was starting off, management under 12s, management minors, management in a lot of things, even outside of football. But Tommy just brings that charisma to the table, and when you get into the change room with Tommy, you'll bust through a wall for him. But at the same time, Tommy knows when to put the arm around the shoulder. And even from a way back, 95, 96 or whatever, when Tommy was manager, Tommy's idea of football wouldn't have changed much. Do you know what I mean? He still wants to play the same way. He still wants to get the ball in early. Football that you enjoy watching. It's just probably in that space of time from then to us winning the championship. We probably just gained that bit of experience and in management. But he just, when you finish as a player with Tommy Coleman, you'll be a better person for it. And he's just an all round good guy. That's just Tommy, and I'm sure you know yourself by talking to him. He's just full of life. Tommy will come down to training, no matter what's happened that day or what's happened going on. Tommy will just come down full of life, full of enthusiasm, and you just want to play for him, And the Killeavy boys will have seen that.
But again, like a few of these, Mark, I think we know it's going to be a tight game and it could come down to a few points. But I think again, we're both just swaying towards Killeavy.
Slightly, and I'll have to give them the nod because of Tommy and James. I'll just have to sort of give them a nod, but I think this is going to be a very tight game for both teams.
And then on Sunday as well, in Group B, it's Grange and Granemore. This is Sunday at 2:15. Obviously, the Grange relegated already, Mark, haven't had a good year, and to make things worse, Ethan Rafferty picked up an injury that isn't as bad as first feared, as he told us last week on the show, but it's still it's keeping him out of the club championship. So Grange,
that's good to hear. That's good to hear that it's not as bad as what we've been saying. But the Grange have had a hard year, and the one thing Grange would have been looking for is that wee boost, of bringing Ethan back, or is Justy Kearns as well and stuff, and then to have that kick in the teeth, with losing Ethan, that's they just have had no luck this year, so it's going to be a difficult campaign, I think, for the Grange, very difficult, and it's a tough enough group for them now as well.
Yeah, and again, home advantage could be key in this one, but they're taking on Granemore, who, they have the experience of reaching the county final last year. I know it didn't go well for them on the day. They have that experience now. They've Kieran Toner back playing for them, who has been brilliant anytime I've seen him this year. Yeah. Sort of playing between midfield and sweeper. He can play different positions. But Granemore, they're looking to step on another gear now from last year, aren't they, Mark? And go one step further.
I'm going to be honest. I was well impressed by Granemore both times I've seen them this year, especially in the first match. Fully deserved winners against us in Granemore. As I say, it's just a hard place to go to get a result. But you're saying about Big Toner, he actually ended up in full forward in the second game and caused us all sorts of trouble. Lucky enough, we got out of that game with 1 or 2 point win. But I was impressed with him in both games now, very impressed. And McLeod's still there as well, still horsed about the place. And Granemore will be well. Grange is at home on Sunday, but going to Granemore for anybody will be a difficult one, But I was well impressed with Granemore, and as I say, I think it'll be a big ask for Grange to get anything out of this game on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think we're both going to go with Granemore to come out of that one, and then until 4 o'clock then on Sunday. This is another game live on Armagh TV. It's Maghery and Ballymacnab. And you'd mentioned earlier, Mark, that nobody wants to be going to Maghery, and I know that's how I feel being from Ballymacnab. But this is a game, and it's probably good to hear your opinion on this. These two teams have been sort of down at the top table the last few years, reaching county finals. Obviously, Maghery won 2 county titles. but maybe slightly on the wane at this stage. Would that be fair to say?
I think so. I think so. I didn't want to, say too much about Ballymacnab there, but I've seen them as well this year, and unfortunately, I think they've missed the boat. I think Ballymacnab had their chances, and I think a few of the older players that were there for many a year and really put some shift in for Ballymacnab and were a very hard team to beat. They have moved on. Began and a couple other ones have gone. McPartland's still there, but he again at the wrong side of the 30 probably, and but Rory Drugan will come back and he'll make a massive difference to them, from the games I've seen them this year. But I still, I just feel that they're just slipping to the wrong side. But again, they're, Ballymacnab will still fight in them, and they'll still be hard to beat. But Maghery also, I think, you look at, even though I think Cusick was probably one of their best players against the Clans in the last game, but Staffy and Big Lowry's away. I think one of the Lappins is injured at the moment as well. So that's their Lowry will be a hard man to replace in around the middle. Even though Aidan and Creeley will come back and Higgins and stuff like that, there maybe they'll give him a massive boost. But I just think you're right. I think that as far as down at the top table, I think there's a big win in any of them. I think if they get to the knockout stages, I think there's a big game in them. I think they could turn one of the bigger teams or one of the more favourite teams over. But just regarding winning the championship, I think they've maybe just Maghery, lucky enough, got their couple of championships, but Ballymacnab unfortunately didn't. But I think they're maybe just past the stage of actually winning one.
And in terms of Maghery, you mentioned there, man, coming back, Mark, Aidan Falker is obviously the big one, and I suppose on Aidan, when these sides met in the championship quarterfinal last year, Aidan started. He marked Rory Grugan, and if everybody remembers, he went off injured then. Come back on at half time, went into full forward. I think Ryan Kennedy followed him back in then. So Aidan, he can play anywhere, he can do anything. And probably when you're in the opposition camp, he's so hard to prepare for, because you could prepare for him spraying ball from centre half back or scoring 2 goals from full forward. Like it's impossible.
Absolutely, and he seems to know where to take himself as well. If he starts in full forward, he sees the danger out the field, and he'll take himself out the field to stop that. And then once that's settled, all of a sudden he's at centre half forward, or then he's back at full back. But he's fantastic, and I think, to be honest, this last couple of years he's just seemed to be getting better and better. We played him a lot of years ago in a semi-final, and he was full forward and just could not handle him. Nobody, no matter who we put on him, double marked him, he was impossible. And whatever ball they put in, he just seemed to win it. But then all of a sudden, the next time you see him out, he's playing around the middle, or he's at full back or cornerback. He's just one of them guys that can do anything. Good player.
I'm obviously going for a Ballymacnab win here, Mark. There's no question about that. Who do you see coming out on top?
Well, I think I'll have to go with Maghery in this one. I think it's going to be just too much for Ballymacnab to go to Maghery and get the win here. I think definitely I'll go for Maghery here.
And the final first round game of the weekend, it's St. Peter's against Clann, Sunday at 6 o'clock again. Armagh TV will be live streaming this one. This is going to be a huge game, Mark, it's the All Lurgan clash of St. Peter's, Clann, and I'm sure there's going to be a huge crowd expected at this.
There's a huge crowd expected, surely. Clann and the Peters, I just love. Personally, when I was playing, it was just the game that I just couldn't wait to play in. You just loved it so much. There was always a bit of crack before and after. Funny, I was talking to a big Peters man today, next chairman, and I told him about a wee story, and he told me, well, you can come back to the Peters afterwards and enjoy the celebrations. But and they'll let me in. I don't know whether they would or not. But no, this is again is a game for Clann. We're going in after winning the league, playing really well in the last 2 or 3 matches, and it's a difficult one for Clann because you're just expected to win. You're maybe expected to win well, and I know the only thing that we've got going for us there regarding last year in Mullaghbawn. shouldn't be complacent going into this game. And because it's a local derby, it's going to get all the lads in the right frame of mind. And there will be anyway, but it just gives it that wee added incentive to be up for this here. While the Peters, it's probably a bit like the Clans, and for the Cross, it's maybe the perfect game to get them going, because there's nothing more than the St. Peters would love to do than beat Clann. Especially when in the position that we're in, one of the favourites to win the championship. So they would just love to get one over on us. I don't think it's going to happen, but they would certainly love that to happen.
And I'm sure confidence is high in Clann, and obviously such joy a couple of years ago winning the championship. Then the lows of last year, losing the first round, back up this year, winning the league and heading into the championship with great momentum. So I'm sure their confidence is high, Mark. But as you say, they have that warning from Mullaghbawn last year that they can't be complacent.
Absolutely. I think maybe get carried away a wee bit last year. I know even myself there, I just expected us to beat Mullaghbawn. I expected us to do a lot better. But after winning, I say first senior championship in near 60 years, a lot of the players naturally were on a high, and it was sort of maybe hard to get themselves going, motivated. Few of the lads went to America towards the end of the league season, and then by the time they got back and stuff like that, and the knockout situation, we're just caught in the hop and lost. But it's really got the fellas up for it again, and they're full of confidence. Hopefully not overconfident, but they're in a good place. There's no question about it. And I think Rory has me well warned that any of these things that I do, that I can't be bumming us up too much, because I sort of done that last year and then the egg in our face. But I just think we're in a very good place,
I think I expect Clann to come through this, but I think St. Peters can give them a real test. And again, as we've mentioned a couple of times, the podcast home advantage is going to be big. I'll not ask you for your prediction here, Mark, just to be fair, unless you want to throw one out.
No, it's a Clann win for me all day. But what I will say is St. Peters this year have really impressed. Impressed myself, and a lot of people have been talking about them, how they've set up. A lot of people would have thought St. Peters maybe would have struggled to stay in 1B, but not just did they stay up, but they were pushing for promotion at the end. So they're in a good place. And they have a lot of experienced players there too. And now McConnell's had a good run of games done as well. So we'll certainly get nothing easy. To face nothing easy come Sunday night. But I just think that Clann will have a wee bit.
I think it's
a knocker just to get over the line.
It's a good game to finish on for Armagh TV and for the opening round. I suppose, Mark, just before we let you go, I'll have to ask you. I've asked you for 8 or 9 predictions there for the first round games, but the prediction for the overall championship winner, I think, from my point of view, it's Crossmaglen and Clann are the two front runners, and there's maybe 5 or 6 teams trailing in behind that are hoping to get their hands on the cup. But who do you see as the winners when it's all said and done?
Well, I have to agree with you. I think at the moment, Clann and the Cross certainly are the two teams that are ahead of the pack at the moment. But I'd say Killeavy would argue with you on that one. If they can just find a couple of more scoring forwards, to just get a bit more scoring on the board. But as I say, I've been well warned about this here. I can't. I would just be going with it's basically between them two teams. It has to be between Clann and the Cross. There's not going to be much between them, but I can't see past one of the two of them, to be honest.
I think it's between the two of them, and as you say, perhaps we'll see it. We'll see them playing in the final, and it's going to come down to them two. But I think they're the two front runners for it anyway. Mark, thanks for coming on. Great to hear your thoughts. Great opening show to kickstart the championship. Obviously, we'll be covering everything with articles, previews, match reports, and podcasts for the next 10 weeks. I think the championship lasts. Thanks again to Capture Athletics for coming on board as our official podcast sponsor for the duration of the club championship. And we'll be back hopefully next week with a review show, and we'll get a few interviews from the games this weekend. Mark, great to hear from you and get chatting to you again.
No problem. Thank you, Sean. No problem.